What's up, car friends? Thanks for joining us on another episode of Wheelie Cool Videos, the show about modified cars based in Southern California with your hosts, Stu
and Bruce. As always, we want to thank our producers, Matt and Chris, here at Phoenix Studios for their support. And
Yeah, this episode we are talking about Audi 5-cylinder turbos, the TTRS, the Sport Quattro. I have a TTRS personally, and I love it. So we are dedicating this whole episode to my car, TTRS's, and the Sport Quattro.
5-cylinder turbo, the Sport Quattro, 1984. Your car, 2012?
2012, yeah.
2012. Yeah, what is that, 20 years apart?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, incredible. Still using the same motor.
Yeah, and the heritage is there, the power's there, the flavor's there, the uniqueness with the raw. It's an awesome engine, and
it is,
lots to talk about.
Well, first, let's talk about our Wheelie Cool find. Every week we find something really cool, really interesting online, something that you guys always want to read. I'm sure many of our viewers have already seen this car.
Probably.
If not,
it's hot in the streets.
You need to check it out.
Yeah. This is the homie Liam. His Instagram name is Elmo_RH. And he's a straight car brother from another mother for me. He's got a Suzuka Gray TTRS.
Same color as yours, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep. He's an IT guy, which is me.
Yeah.
Similar age. I think he's probably a little younger or has aged better than me. But he's on the other side of the pond. He's in UK. But he's gone a different route for his build. I'm more motorsports, track day oriented, and he's gone just full show car with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the modifying cars. To each is their own. You like slam cars, you like track days, you can do it however you want.
Build it how you want.
Right. And at the same time, the community and other people like, oh man, like I personally wouldn't do that with my car, but I love his car. If I could afford two TTRSs, I would have one like mine and one exactly like his. So his car currently, well, actually not currently anymore because he's already taken it off.
He just changed it up.
But the 2015 livery for his TTRS was the Red Bull theme.
That Red Bull, I absolutely love the Red Bull theme. Looked like he wrapped the whole car, basically. I didn't know it was Suzuka Gray.
Yeah.
I thought it was initially that blue color, and then he put the Red Bull livery on the side.
Nope, he wrapped it blue, and I think he left that middle stripe. I think that is actually Suzuka Gray peeking through.
That's very interesting, yeah.
And he's got the Rotiform OZ turbos wheels, which he's powder coated like a bronze color for this year. Before the car was just on air. In 2014 it was on air, Suzuka Gray with the same finish as my Turbomac, which is the brushed
dark
finish
color,
with the tinted clear coat, and he
with
had the
polished lips.
Which last year that livery was awesome. 2014, it looked, it's my car and his car. If you put them next to each other, it's the same car built differently.
It is, yeah.
Same color palette.
Yeah, one's a track car, one's a track purpose car, and the other one is a show car. I'm sure it's probably, fast.
Oh, it's fast.
I'm sure
it's
built.
still,
I'm sure it's built.
Yeah, just because it's on air doesn't mean it's slow and not fun to drive. I love his car. I love seeing him on Instagram. He's also got a cool beard. Shout out to the beards.
Yeah, beard gang. Beard gang. Comb your beards out there.
But this car is a great example of how the car scene overseas it really just goes hard. They've like fully changed liveries. And I'm not talking about everybody, but it seems a lot of people over there, they just, every year that he has to change the look of the car dramatically.
Yeah.
So like 2014 it was Suzuka Gray with the different shade wheels like mine. This year it's Red Bull I'm sorry, 15 it was Red Bull with the bronze wheels.
Yep.
And now he's already posted a pickup on Instagram of he's taking
deliveries off.
He's taking the wrap off, had it on for like a year or less, and now he's switching up to something else. What? I don't know. I can't wait to see it.
I've always felt like cars in Europe, builds in Europe, always tend to go a few steps further. I mean, granted, there are cars here in the States that
absolutely
are fully built, that guys go out of their way, but the European scene always seems to set the sort of like set the trends or be ahead of the trends.
A little bit. They just go really hard with it.
They go all out,
And it feels like they just put every single cent they got into the car.
Definitely.
To maximize it. And they...
and you would think, I mean, them having so much more restrictions as far as, as far as registering a car, as far as going through all these checks.
Right, they got to do annual checks.
They got to do, that it wouldn't be... they wouldn't be building such cars, but man, they build some amazing cars.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's painted his brake calipers. He's got the Audi OEM two-tone interior. It's like the gray and the black leather.
The black, yep.
It looks really good. You don't really need to do too much to the TTRS's interior and exterior, besides suspension and wheels, to make it look over the top.
Exactly. I mean, and they already have a few things that we personally would like for example, European TTRSs have headlights, E-codes.
They got the E-codes without the orange banana light.
They have the taillights, don't they?
I think the taillights are the same.
Are they the same? Yeah.
They have the option for the Recaros though, which he doesn't have in his car. But if I had bottomless pockets, I would order myself up a set of those.
How much is that option?
I think they're like, well, for us they're like $5,000 or so to get.
Oh my goodness.
Which is a lot. Consider you could get like a set of Recaros for less than half of that. But this dude, Liam, he also, before the TTRS, he had a white TTS. So this is his second TT, which I love to see. Again, the evolution. TTS was awesome. It was on air. It was on rotiform. TMB, I think, 3-piece TMBs.
5-spoke turbine wheel.
Exactly. Directional.
Directional,
But he had to just step it up. Went as far as he could go in the TTS, so he had to swap it in for the RS, and then like he already built one, so it's how would you think he was going to make waves with another car? It's basically the same, but he did. And then he made waves again when he wrapped it with the Red Bull car. One of my favorite shots of this car is with the Red Bull livery in front of the Red Bull racing factory. And it just looks insane.
That's awesome.
I'm surprised Red Bull doesn't put it on there like marketing material because it's fresh.
Yeah, Red Bull does awesome stuff in general.
They do. And I've seen other cars wrapped in Red Bull. When you said it, they set trends. And since he's done this build, many other cars have popped up with this livery. And imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And that's what they're doing. They're like, oh, that's a good idea. I think that would look fresh on mine also. And, most of the time it doesn't look as good as Liam's did, but because he's the original, but shouts out for trying. I do like this livery. I like livery-based themes. This whole race car style, bringing the race car wrap, taking a wrap, not wrapping just a color, but putting like the full race livery to look like a race car. That's awesome. I like seeing cars on the street that look like a race car. I mean, come on. You want to break necks? Wrap it like a race car. It's sick.
Make it look like a race car, even if it as fast as one.
So shout out to Elmo.
Great car. We love it.
Check out his Instagram. It's full of a whole lot of good pics and the occasional IT builds with cables. It's fun. So
let's get into the TTRS. Your TTRS.
My TTRS. I've owned the car for 4 years. I have about 40,000 miles on it. 4.5 years, so it's out of warranty now.
Okay.
But
how does that feel?
Not as good as I enjoyed the warranty. I drove the car, and I still drive the car hard. But in the past, I would let anybody, not everybody, but if I trusted you, you could drive my car. You could rip it. I would encourage you, rip it. Let's launch the thing. Let's do it. If we break it, we'll just take it on back to Audi. It's not tuned. I was still under warranty.
Why you probably didn't tune it. Yeah,
right, exactly. I enjoyed the warranty.
Oh my goodness. Good day.
But yeah, love the car.
Yeah.
Love the car. Still own it. I thought about getting rid of it. Tried to sell it once for an air-cooled. Got hyped up. Got pulled into the air-cooled hype about 6 months ago.
Air-cooled Beetle. That's what you wanted.
Definitely.
Air-cooled Beetle.
I was looking
Beetle.
at a 964 or a 993.
Basically.
I was shopping pretty hard.
Yeah.
To my wife's dismay, but I put my car up on the forums for sale. I never listed on like Auto Trader and stuff, but I tried to sell it. Didn't get too many bites. It's a unique car. It's a manual transmission. You're either looking for that car or you're not. And I feel like at the time when I was selling it, nobody was really looking to get one. The TTRS Mark III was still like in the balances of if it's going to come out, is it going to be a manual, what's the engine it's going to have. And so I feel like people wait for that stuff to pan out. Yeah. But the TTRS used car market, it's a little soft. I was looking at Auto Trader a few nights ago, and you can get one for in the 30s with more than like 50,000 miles on it.
Really?
Yeah, they're like high 30s with maybe 60K, which is a decent amount of miles. But this car is so robust, I wouldn't hesitate on buying a car with that high mileage.
And you compare it with something like an R8, R8 V8, which
R8 V8
just as fast.
So you cannot buy an R8 V8 for like less than like 80 grand.
Yeah.
I saw the cheapest ones I could find were 60, and they were salvage title.
Yeah.
So
but you
don't
want to buy a salvage title.
No, unless you're gonna like track build it or do some heavy mods. Yeah. But resale, that's really just gonna be horrible if you bought a salvage car. So it's an excellent value. It's a super fast car. The motor feels tuned. That was one thing when I initially test drove the car. I got in it. I hit my head as I was getting in because it's so small.
And you hated it.
And I hated it. The armrest is literally like 1.5 inches wide. I'm like, what is this tiny little car? I'm 6'3". I was like, I fit in it once I'm in, but it feels tiny. I was like, I don't really like this thing. I had an S4 on order. And then the TTRS came out, so I went and test drove one at a local dealership just to kind of check it out. Because, I'm a car guy. I love to test drive cars. I don't like to waste salesman's time. I feel bad about that. I'm very open and honest about what my intentions are. But I was a potential serious buyer for that car. They had a $4,000 markup on it. It was like a base TTRS with the wing delete.
$4,000?
Yeah, it was brand new. It was like probably one of the first ones in SoCal.
Just came out.
So I got in it. I'm like, oh, this thing is small. I don't like this thing. It's weird. Why is it so small? I'm cramped. And then we start driving it. And the first time I floor it, I was like, oh, I need this. This is awesome. Mark me down. I need this car.
Yeah.
They wouldn't really budge too much on the markup. They would only drop like $2,000. So I didn't end up buying that car. And it wasn't spec'd the way that I would have liked.
Was it Suzuka Gray?
No, this is a white one that at this other dealership. White, wing delete, leather. It didn't have Alcantara.
I like that wing on there.
I do like the wing.
Yeah. I've always been, I'm always hesitant with
to wing
like that,
or not to wing.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
It's a tough call.
It is a tough call.
That's why we like the ducktail so much.
Oh, I love, imagine it.
Porsche ducktail, it's like the in-between wing.
It is, yeah. It's like a molded, which is also one of the reasons why I love the CSL trunk lid on BMWs.
Yep.
That trunk lid that kind of goes up to a little point.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good look. Yeah. It's like an extension of the body line, not necessarily a wing.
Yeah, exactly.
But the TTRS wing's nice. It's a fixed wing, not too gaudy. It looks like it makes the car look a little bit more masculine, a little bit more meaty or
tougher.
angry.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I test drove the car. I was like, okay, I need this. I decided to go ahead and cancel my S4 order, it was a manual B8 S4. It was going to be a 2012 model. So it was right before they did the facelift.
Oh my goodness! Aren't you glad you didn't get
totally?
That?
Yeah, because
it would have been outdated immediately.
As soon as I would have got it, it was outdated.
Like outdated.
And that's no fun.
Yeah, that facelift looks good too.
I placed the order before they released the facelift.
Yeah, and you got a TTRS.
Got a TTRS, exactly. So my salesman called me a couple days later. He's like, hey, we just got our first TTRS in. We're unwrapping it now. He sent me pictures of it, like unwrapping it, texted me.
It's always fun.
Yeah. I love
like opening Christmas presents, except with a full-size car.
Yep.
And not only was it one of the first TTRSs, it was also the first lowered TTRS.
That's true. Yep, I had that thing for less than a week. I ordered a set of H&R Springs for it, which is like $250.
Easy, but it makes so much difference.
Yep.
The car looks so much better.
And then instantly had it dropped off, installed, aligned, and it was ready for the next weekend, which was
Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
So every year, October. I don't know if they're doing it this year.
I think they are. They're looking for venues.
Oktoberfest up in Big Bear. Just a great European car meet.
Yeah.
Basically taking over a whole hotel and just having a great time. And we did that a week after. I remember we both went up. You had just lowered the TTRS.
We bombed it up the mountain roads to Big Bear. Learned that it did rub.
It did, yeah.
Under aggressive corning, we're like, we hear rubbing. Yeah. Rubbing in the back, rubbing in the front. Yeah. Scroll up.
Going up. Going up.
Bingo bango.
Going up. There we go.
Scroll it down. There we go. So yeah, love the TT. Loved having one of the first ones. Loved having the first lowered one. Although I only kept that suspension on those springs for maybe 6 months before I switched again to KW V3 coils because typical car guy, what happens when you put fixed lowering height springs, you're like,
it doesn't ever sit how you want
I need
it
that
to.
Front to be like this much lower. I need the rear to come up this much, or I need the front to go down that much. One of the two, but you can't do that with fixed height springs. But in fact, when Matt and I went to Vegas for his brother's bachelor party, we took the TTRS when it was on the KW coils and my 20s.
Oh my goodness.
Both Matt and I are big dudes.
Yeah.
And then we loaded up the TT full of booze, alcohol, drugs, hookers, all the stuff you take
to Vegas.
To a bachelor party. We took our own. We don't want the dirty stuff there. We got our own fresh stuff. So the car was just jam-packed. And I know Matt remembers, we were just rubbing all the way up there. Just hauling ass and rubbing. But it was great.
Yeah.
So still that suspension.
Well, if you're not rubbing,
you're not dubbing.
Exactly.
That's right. So I still wasn't happy with that suspension. Sold the KW V3s, and I bought my current suspension that I have on now. Third time is a charm, and they are called MSS kits. They're made by an awesome dude in UK named William. He's got a purple TTRS Roadster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that he tracks.
Very cool. Do we get that here in the States?
No, we don't get a Roadster. Huh? I wish I would have known about that purple color, though, because that would have been dope.
Yeah.
But he's an awesome guy. He does a lot of track days, and he kind of found the same thing that I did with the aftermarket spring kits being too soft for the TTRS. There's just way too much power. Both previous spring kits, or both previous suspension kits I had for the TTRS, if I floored it out of first gear, the rear end would fully bottom out and compress all the way.
Yeah.
Which with an aggressive tire, it was rubbing no matter what I did.
Yeah.
On full throttle. So with this MSS kits, they're an adjustable spring setup that works with the OEM mag ride shocks. So you get the best of both worlds. You have the soft ride when you want it, and then you can press the sport button and have it firm up for the track. And the rear is perfectly stiff. He went through tons of different iterations of spring setups and spring rates and combinations. And what he found was the perfect setup was a stacked linear spring in the back, which basically gives you a stiff spring for big bumps and a softer spring so you get the compliant ride. And that made the car. As soon as I put that suspension on, the car felt like it lost like 1,000 pounds in weight, felt super nimble, so much more fun to drive.
Yeah.
The car didn't dip when you floored it. Around corners, it would stay planted. The mag ride suspension alone, those shocks are awesome.
Yeah. I've heard some tremendous stuff about that.
Yeah, they really do well. There's speed sensors all over the car, height sensors. So it is doing lots of calculations and adjusting dampening force based on your driving as you drive. So if you hit a big bump, it can absorb or increase dampening on that one shock versus the others real time. So you really feel that out on the track. You can slam into curbings and take turns hard and really drive the car the way it's meant to be driven.
Yeah.
So that suspension fully changed the car, and I'm really glad now I have the best of both worlds, the look because it's fully adjustable height-wise, and the ride with the correct spring rate kits. So
and that's a great example for those who criticize cars for small details of an aftermarket modification that can be done that will fix that issue.
Right. Stock, the rear suspension is too soft for sure. And here's you have a spring kit. It doesn't void your warranty. You can put it on. You can take it off. It doesn't affect the resale value of the car. And it just makes the car handle like it should have from the factory. Yeah. But so that's my favorite mod for sure. The car has some other mods on it. Real quick, we can just go over the list. It's got 034 Motorsports strut mounts. So that gives you a little bit more road feel. One of the most complained about issues on the TTRS is its lack of road feel, and it's too sterile feeling. And a lot
Interesting word.
Yeah. And a lot of the bushings Audi uses, it's just for a nicer ride because they want it to ride nicer and not be as vibration-y in the cabin, which is what you get with stiffer bushings that give you more road feel. So I replaced the strut mount bushings with it's a stiffer durometer, so it's not polyurethane, it's just rubber but stiffer, and that gave way more road feel, steering feedback, basically squashed that complaint of the TTRS feels sterile and numb. Doesn't feel like that anymore, for sure. I also have the 034 Motorsports rear trailing arm bushing, which is metal on metals, spherical bushing that really helps the rear end stay planted around turns. Really only feel that on aggressive cornering or at the track, but it was an inexpensive mod. Figured I would go ahead and do that to tighten up the rear end a little bit to match the front. I also have the 42 Draft Designs shift bushings along with the HPA Core Interlock dogbone mount, and that takes the shifter and just makes it feel super solid, reduces almost all the play and the slop out of it. The stock TTRS shifter is fantastic. One of the reviews, I think Car and Driver said, it feels like if you took a Mustang and an Acura shifter and melded them.
Really?
Like you get that type of like clunkiness with the precision. So it's like kind of the best of both worlds. And there's a little bit of play in it. So these two mods with the bushings just took all that out. And makes it shift like a dream.
Nice.
I also have the Audi A1 OEM shift knob, which is kind of like an R8 look. It's like an all aluminum knurled shift knob. I really like that little touch. Also the Borla catback exhaust.
Sounds great.
Thanks. Yeah, that really brings out the 5-cylinder noise.
Now you were one of the first to have that, right?
Yeah, they actually used my car for the development.
For building it.
Which means I got a free exhaust. Thanks, Borla. Definitely still enjoying it. But they had my car for about a month. And they had like 5 or 6 different iterations of the exhaust that they tried to get the perfect tone, sound without drone. So the current one, the one that they settled on, has a X pipe in the middle, full stainless. Another thing about Borla, the inside, a lot of people say that their exhausts are stainless steel, and the mufflers are stainless steel, but the insides of the mufflers aren't. So the insides of Borla mufflers, every single piece of metal in the Borla exhaust system is stainless. Yeah, so it's a full stainless system. They also have the Borla diffuser that bolts to the bottom of the Borla catback, which I think really sets the rear end of the exhaust off perfectly.
It works so well. It makes that rear end look so
The front
aggressive.
end is super aggressive on the TTRS. It comes down really low, and the rear is just a little too high, and they didn't really change enough of it off the other models. So I feel like the diffuser really sets it off and gives it that RS look. And I also have the MTM carbon fiber diffuser, which is right above the exhaust tips, and it basically is just a carbon fiber piece that has 4 vertical slats on it instead of 2, but they line up perfectly with the Borla diffuser muffler.
Nice.
And it looks awesome. CTS Turbo Cold Air Intake. And that gives the perfect amount of turbo noise, a little bit of blow-off valve. You heard the turbo spooling.
Yeah. Always fun.
I love it.
Yeah,
There's no
one of my favorite things.
There's no sound deadening underneath the hood in the TTRS. So I feel like you really hear all that intake noise. It's fantastic. And there's a lot of different intakes, but the CTS Turbo one is nice, good value, and excellent sound. Also have upgraded brake pads. The stock brakes are fantastic on a TTRS, but the pads don't handle, either it's a street pad. So when you bring them out on the track, after a couple laps, they heat up and they get a little soft and spongy. I have Porterfield RS4 brake pads all the way around, which is what I daily. I just leave them on for daily use and the track use. It's a perfect hybrid compound that holds heat, doesn't get too hot, but it doesn't squeak when they're cold on the street. Perfect.
Super annoying for race car brakes.
I hate it.
I hate it.
I had squeaky race brakes on my R32, and it basically, as soon as I got off the track, I wanted to swap my pads out.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to pull up at a stoplight and you're like, oh, nice car. You're like, oh, maybe it's not a nice car.
Everyone looks over. Yeah. Damn, that guy's got old brakes.
Yeah. Come on. He's paying all his money on his payments. Can't afford brakes.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know, but that's what people would say.
That's what the average person would think. So these Porterfields, they're a Huntington Beach, Orange County company, and they custom make brake pads, and they're a big name. It's kind of unknown, but when you start to research Porterfield, like they're out there and they have a ton of good publicity about it. Their different brake pads and their hybrid compound that they use. I also painted some of the parts on my car to go along with this. Audi has an aluminum optic package that makes the front spoiler, the rear spoiler uprights, and the lower diffuser on the rear end in aluminum. And I did that. I painted all mine gloss black. Yeah. Except the front lip, I actually wrapped it gloss black instead of painting it.
Because it's going to end up chipping?
It was cheaper. I did that one first, and it was only like $80 to wrap that front lip. Yeah. And then like 3 months later, I actually did scrape it on a curb. Yeah. And I wanted to shoot myself in the head for scratching my TTRS until I remembered. I'm like, oh wait,
it's wrapped.
It's wrapped. Sweet. I'll just take it back and have it rewrap it. It was no problem. It was all done.
Nice.
And then of course we got the 1552 wheels, forged Turbomac wheels. They're machine finish with a tinted clear coat. I had these wheels for like 2 years, and I absolutely love them. I love 5-spoke wheels. I really love unique takes on 5-spoke wheels.
Rally inspired.
Shout out to 1552. I got this T-shirt when I bought the wheels. I actually bought two. One that I wore, and then the other one, this one, that I kept in a plastic bag to keep it fresh.
Nice.
So I busted it out for you guys.
This is fresh T-shirt for the show.
Fresh. Yeah. Been in a bag for 2 years. Yeah. Haven't washed it.
Send us some more fresh shirts, Matt.
Actually, I just got a new fresh T-shirt from Matt. He sent me. So thanks, Matt. I got the package. It's great. But yeah, that's the TTRS. Love the car. I don't daily it, but every time I take it out, it feels super fast. No tune on the ECU yet.
Not yet.
Maybe in this year. Maybe
it's
this
fast
year.
Enough.
It is super fast. Yeah. Every time you get in it, it's just like, whoa. All right, now we're gonna jump into the Wheelie Cool for sale for this week. You made that? You're a talented man.
Just right now? You make it right now?
Matt is a very talented individual. He's got a sick mind. Yeah. We can't show you or talk about half the shit he puts up on our screen here. But if you see us smiling randomly in the middle of a segment, it's because he put up some X-rated shit on the screen. I think it's like 5X.
5X. All right.
So
let's get into the Wheelie Cool.
Yeah.
For sale.
What do we got this week on the Wheelie Cool for sale, man?
84 Audi Quattro.
No big deal.
No big deal. Probably one of my favorite cars. Box flares, 5-cylinder turbo. Yep. Historic Group B rally racing.
Yep. 84. Audi had to build 218, I think, of these cars in order for them to be homologated into Group B racing, so they could race them in Group B rallying. They had to build them. They originally sold for like $100,000.
Basically,
was the sticker price
in 84 was about $100,000. What's that? I think we had looked up. It was like about two something
now.
In 1984,
in today's money.
In today's money, it's about $200,000.
Imagine Audi coming out with a 5-cylinder turbo hatchback and charging $250,000.
Yeah,
like that's what happened in '84, and people bought them, and they sold them all. And if you bought one, you're smart, because this one at Sotheby's earlier 2015 sold for 400 and something.
401,000 or something up there. Yeah,
401,000 at an auction.
That's a lot of money.
It is, but what a rare car.
This one, I mean, I think it barely had any miles on it.
Yeah, it's got like 8,000 kilometers. Yeah. It looks almost all OEM original. The seats look brand new. The Recaros. I think it might have upgraded brake discs, AP rotors. But basically, it's a new car from the 80s. Yeah. And I can't believe that this is what you get with 80s, man. Like, my 1984 Volkswagen Jetta, it's the same year, my first car, and this were built at the same time.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that, man. This is a full-on race car for the street. And, God, what a cool car. I would love to be back in the 80s and see one of these drive by. On the street, I would have just lost it.
Imagine going to a dealer and checking out an Audi Quattro.
Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah.
It has that rallying heritage.
It does. It has history to it.
Yeah, you can see tons of video online of these things rallying, just getting super squirrely, getting air, seeing people like in the middle of the trail, jumping out of the way.
Yep. One of my favorite pictures, I think, is a picture of this car. We'll see if we can bring it up for you. But a picture of this car, basically in the air, maybe 20 feet going off a jump.
Damn.
And the car is it's crazy. I love groupie rally. Yeah, groupie rally racing in general is pretty hectic.
That's right.
People in the middle of the course, waiting until last second. Photographers waiting until last second to get out of the way.
Yep. And I feel like this car just summarizes like all that heritage.
It
and
does,
like people look at it and they just instantly are brought back to like Group B rallying and all those cool things about Group B rallying that they used to have. And racing's not like that anymore.
No.
And it never will be like that again. And this car just embodies that whole era. Because they basically won. They brought this car out and they just started killing everybody. With the Quattro all-wheel drive, everybody was like rear-wheel or front-wheel drive before that. They had all-wheel drive, and they just murdered the whole scene.
Yeah.
I would love one of these cars if I'm ever able to have the financial means having one of these or a replica of one of these. Maybe I'll just start with the poster. Maybe I'll have a Vitas do me a render with some 1552 wheels. Maybe we'll just start there.
Yeah.
So whoever bought this, congratulations for shelling out $400K at Sotheby's. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're driving it a little bit.
Doubt it. It's probably in his garage.
It's in a museum.
It's in a museum.
But oh well.
Oh well.
Whatever. Oh well. Maybe there's 280 that are out there being driven somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I do love this car. I love that my 5-cylinder turbo Audi TTRS is related to this car. It makes my car that much cooler. This is like its bigger brother. I love that there's that racing history and that racing heritage behind that inline 5-cylinder turbo. And it just makes me boggle the mind where the closest thing to basically this car that you can get is my car.
It is, yeah.
And the secondhand market is like pretty soft on it.
Yep, yeah.
So instead of spending $400K on a Sport Quattro that you can't find, you might want to just spend $40,000 on the TTRS and go drive it.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
Yeah,
except I bought mine new.
Great call. Great call.
Actually, I didn't buy mine. I leased mine, but I'm buying it now.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. Also, check out the other social media feeds, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, wheelie_cool, to get all the fresh, hot content. And as always, we'll be releasing new videos every Friday, new shows every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for more.
That's it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Till next time, have a really cool day. Peace.
Cut it, 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 cut it. Them bricks way too high, you need to cut